Good evening, everybody. This is a public outreach meeting regarding the Straightway Water Treatment Facility Improvements Project. It is being recorded and will be posted for future viewing on the Town of Barnstable website. Under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, anyone else desiring to make such a recording or transmission must identify themselves at this time. That being said, I'll pass things over to MEPA analyst Alex and let him give the introductions.
Okay, thank you. So is anyone from the public here participating? Can you tell? Is it just this group of people here?
Yeah, so I have access to both the waiting room and participants in the room, and nobody is waiting in the waiting room, and it's just the 5 of us currently on this call at this time.
Okay, in that case, I really won't say anything, and I'll let you get right to the presentation of the project. I'll just say that this the comment period is scheduled to end on October 11th, and then the certificate is required by statute to be issued 7 days later on the 18th. And in this case, because the project does not exceed any environmental impact report review thresholds, and is required to file an EIR only because it's within an EJ population. The town's requested that the ENF be reviewed also as an EIR after the first certificate is issued. So the certificate to be issued on the 11th will sort of review the project, review comments, identify any issues that have to be addressed during permitting, and then make a finding as to whether the rollover EIR request is granted or not. And if it is, then the same filing would be renoticed in the next environmental monitor for another comment period. And then essentially the same certificate would be issued at the end of that comment period. But then MEPA will be finished. So any questions about how the rollover process works?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
None from me.
Right. Well, I'll turn it over to you then for a presentation.
Okay. Thanks, Alex. Hi, I'm Kirsten Ryan with Kleinfelder. We'll be presenting on this project. Some of the material may be familiar to people if they were at the prior meeting on August 6th, but knowing that this is being recorded and someone from the public who couldn't attend tonight might be wanting to review the recording, I'm going to just go through all the slides, as quickly as I can, but without rushing too much. That's all right. This is for the Straightway and Hyannisport Water Treatment Facilities Improvement Project. I said I'm Kirsten Ryan with Kleinfelder. We're the engineering consultant for the project, doing the design and the permitting. And here are the topics that I'll plan to cover. Very little bit of background on the water system and the purpose for the project, some of its benefits, and then show you through the existing conditions at the site and what we're proposing for improvements. And then briefly talk about the mitigation that's been designed into the project to prevent or mitigate environmental impacts and schedule the next steps. So the Hyannis water system serves 18,000 people year round, and that number grows substantially in the summer. Manages a lot of infrastructure, over 100 miles of water mains. They meet all state and federal health regulations. And this map is to orient folks to show them where the different facilities are of the Hyannis water system. The green lines are the water mains. The red stars represent treatment facility locations. And there are 4 of those. I'll get into a little bit more detail about what those facilities are in the next couple of slides, but that's the overview. So as I said, there's 4 water treatment facility locations. And when I say facility, that may mean multiple buildings, as you'll see, at each sort of complex area in the red stars. There are a total of 12 wells at those between all those 4 locations and 6 treatment buildings. And because of the high summer demand increase, water system really needs to operate all these facilities continuously right now to meet demand. They've been doing a lot of upgrades in stages to improve water quality and reliability and resiliency while maintaining operations. So this is the next project on the list of priority projects to help continue that improvement process. So we're going to zoom into this area that's circled there for the Straightway Hyannisport
Kirsten,
project.
sorry to interrupt. I did want to ask a question at this stage, though. So I know there's one of the two sites we'll be talking about has a tank, but is all the water from all 4 wells stored there and distributed from there, or is it distributed from each of the treatment facilities separately?
No, that water tank that we'll see in a minute is located here. It only stores water from these wells. There's another tank in the northeast part of the system. And then there's also tanks locally at, I believe, the Mary Dunn. I can't remember if Mar has one as well, but yeah, there's several storage tanks.
Okay, but is the whole system interconnected, or is it sort of each?
Yeah, I don't believe there's separate pressure zones at all, right? Hans could answer that. You're muted, Hans.
Not anymore. I hope everybody. Hans Kaiser, I'm the supervisor of the Water Supply Division, Hyannis Water System. We have 1 pressure zone all through the distribution system. We have a water storage tank in the Straightway facility. We have a water storage facility at Maha, and we have 2 water storage tanks just north of the Mary Dunn facility.
Okay, great, thanks.
Also. Okay, so now we are looking at more of a zoomed in view of the project location. This, to orient people, this is Straightway. This road comes down and goes through here and connects down to Smith Street. The yellow outline is the, just realized I'm putting my cursor on the wrong screen that you can't see, but the yellow outline is the parcel boundary of what the town owns. As I said, Straightway is here coming down Smith Street. So there's 2 entrances. There's one off of Smith Street here into the Hyannisport section of the property or of the site. And then the entrance off of Straightway into this upper areas is the Straightway site. So there's a lot going on here, but there's existing facilities in orange, and blue is proposed facilities that we'll get into detail here. But this is sort of the overview. The green lines represent the water mains connecting from, actually the tank here connects out to the distribution system here on Straightway. That's where the finished water is fed into the distribution system. The Simmons Pond, existing Simmons Pond well down here, and the Hyannisport well down here existing. The water flows from, or is pumped up to the existing treatment facility here, the tank, and then the booster pump here pushes it out. So I'll get into more detail as you'll see, but basically we're replacing the Simmons Pond well with this, relocating it here. And I'll zoom into that area, and then we're relocating this Hyannisport well and pump station to this location, constructing a new treatment facility, and winterizing the existing filters. That's kind of a overview. So summarizing some of the improvements of this project, this is going to allow the Hyannis water system to maximize the capacity that they already hold a permit for those 4 wells. Increase the amount of water that the wells can supply to get that closer to what the permitted withdrawal capacity is. Allow the water treatment facility to be operated year-round, improve treatment processes to further improve water quality, protect wells and buildings from flooding, and improve overall system resiliency and also energy efficiency. Just kind of in a little bit more detail what the specific challenges of the existing facilities are and what the solutions are that go with those. As I said, they can't be used year-round because the PFAS removal filters are not winterized. We'll see some pictures of those in a moment. 2 of the 4 wells, Simmons Pond and Hyannisport, are not supplying, enough water. They're not supplying anywhere close to their design capacity. So we're going to replace those wells. As I said, we'll build an enclosure over the existing PFAS filters that are there. Relocating the Simmons Pond and Hyannisport wells to a higher elevation out of the floodplain, and relocating all treatment. So there is some chemical feed treatment that's provided at the Hyannisport, the lower part of the site. Then all treatment chemistry will be centralized in the northern part of the site. Also, the iron and manganese is elevated and is not being removed right now, so that makes the filters more expensive to operate. There is 1,4-dioxane is getting up close to the Massachusetts guideline of 0.3, so we will be removing a new treatment technology we will be adding a new treatment technology to remove that. And then finally, the existing booster pump station is undersized for these improvements that are proposed. So the reason for this meeting specifically, the project does trigger MEPA. The reason for the trigger is the existing drinking water facility expansion by the greater of 1 million gallons per day, or 10%. So this will be a substantial increase in the existing treatment capability of the site. And as Alex mentioned, that requires a notification, an ENF, environmental notification form. It is located within 1 mile of an EJ population, so therefore we also have filed a proposed EIR, environmental impact report. We went through the EJ protocols process by distributing a advanced screening form in early July, and holding a public meeting on August. Actually, that's a typo. It was August 6th. And then we filed the ENF and proposed EIR on September 3rd. And as Alex mentioned, we are requesting a rollover to try to expedite the overall process so we can get this out to bid. A summary of the sort of major components of that MEPA considers in the ENF. This is a kind of an abridged version that just summarizes some of the major items. Total site acreage, 4.77. The new acres of land that will be altered is 2.19, and that will include an addition of just over an acre of impervious area. There are no alteration of bordering vegetative wetlands. The work will be in the buffer zone, as you'll see in a moment. The riverfront is the one wetland resource that we do have some alteration to in the Hyannisport part of the site. And then as far as the structures, there are existing a little over 7,600 square feet, and then we'll be adding 12,400 to that.
Kirsten, what area was included in that total acreage? So in one of the earlier slides, you had like a yellow boundary around the sites. Was that 4.7 acres, or is it something other than?
I will have to check on that detail. I believe so.
What was in the yellow was much more than 4.7 acres, right?
Okay, that might have been probably the limit of disturbance is what we used, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're correct. It would
So
be
the developed area now, and then the additional area of disturbance, something like that.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if you could just confirm that, that'd be helpful. Thanks.
Okay. So this is looking in at the Straightway portion of the site and the existing conditions, and some of the proposed upgrades, and just trying to give you some photos of what it looks like right now. This photo is of the existing Straightway water treatment facility right here, kind of standing here looking at it in this direction. Here's a view where you're standing down by that existing building, looking to the southwest, up the hill, if you will, towards the existing tank. And here you can see the unwinterized GAC filters, the booster pump station, and then there's also a very small like chlorine injection building up there right now. Any questions about this, Alex? So taking a look at what's proposed, this is a rendering of or drawing of what the winterization of the filters that are existing filters will look like. That's right here. We're going to be adding a climate controlled enclosure on a slab. That's going to be important, as I said, for them to be able to operate the system year round. And the existing GAC filters were added in 2019 as kind of an emergency project so that they could remove PFAS as soon as possible and be utilized during the summer. This is kind of a continuation of that. Let's see. Then here we see what the new Straightway water treatment facility will look like, which is right here, sort of just to the south of the existing tank. It'll house the GAC filters, additional filters to increase the capacity, green sand vessels, the backwash tank below, and then also a treatment system to remove 1,4-dioxane. And we have oriented this so that the shorter side here is the one that's closer to the abutters. This map shows the wetland areas in relation to the Straightway site. The green highlighting is the actual bordering vegetated wetlands itself. And the yellow is the 100-foot buffer zone. So you can see we do have work within the buffer zone. Some of that is, upgrades to existing developed area. There's already a driveway here that's going to be resurfaced after the utilities are modified. There's an existing backwash basin here that's going to be repurposed into or modified into a stormwater management structure, and then the new building here. But it shows the BBW and buffer zone in relation to this part of the site. There's a couple more photos here in case that was of interest. We kind of saw a photo similar to this one here, the view south to the GC units to be winterized. And then this is a view here looking to the south, kind of towards where this building would be. There will be some tree clearing back. This fence line will need to move a little bit back and some tree clearing. Here's another photo of that existing basin here where the filters are washed when they're changed out. And this is going to be where that sort of driveway area and stormwater management will be. Just one more photo of those existing GAC. I shouldn't really call them filters. They actually adsorb the contaminant units, treatment units. Okay. All right, now we'll go down to the Hyannisport part of the site. The blue line that you can kind of see here is the floodplain. So there is some, actually it's a 500-year floodplain. So that there is a building, this existing Hyannisport building here is within the floodplain. And that's going to be decommissioned, demolished, and then the new facility will be up here outside of the floodplain. Same thing with the Simmons Pond and pump station here, which you can see in photo 1. That's also going to be demolished and it's going to be relocated right up here at a higher elevation. We've already done the test well drilling and identified those sites for the new stations. So here's some of the design drawings. I think this set is from the 30% set, but basically showing, again, the existing facilities and then the proposed facilities. Pretty small, standard pump station type size. Redrilling the new wells at higher elevation. And then again, this water will go through the existing transmission main up to the Straightway portion of the site for treatment. We'll also be adding a new backup generator. And similarly to the other drawing here, you can see in green, the location, the flagged location of the BBW, border and vegetated wetlands, the buffer zone in yellow. And then this is blue line is the riverfront area. There's a small stream that's kind of off the bottom of this figure, but that is where the riverfront area comes from. So there will be some impact with the new building in there, but pretty limited. And then after the demolition of the existing structures, we'll have that restored with native vegetation. Excuse me. Looking at some of those photos of what the existing conditions look like. Photo 1 here is looking to the east, up at sort of this higher elevation area where the proposed new well will be and pump station. You can kind of see a little bit through the trees here faintly, the existing station down here, down the hill by the pond. So you can see this is much higher elevation. And then photo 2 is looking, actually that's looking to the, this isn't quite right. Yeah, this little perspective diagram is wrong. You're standing basically here at the proposed location and looking back towards the existing. So this is a view towards the south. You can see over to the side here is the test wells that we drilled. That's just how we established the site. Whoops. So the building will be up in this area here. Okay. Next slide is a summary of the project proposed mitigation measures. We have really tried to site the infrastructure to minimize environmental impacts to the extent feasible. Stormwater management is going to meet or exceed Mass DEP standards. The town of Barnstable has a stormwater bylaw that we'll be designing to comply with. We've been consulting with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife and we'll be abiding by a tree clearing time of year restriction to minimize impact on potential species listed at the federal level. There are no state listed species mapped in the area. Barnstable Conservation Commission and Wetlands Protection Review is underway, ongoing. And then, as I mentioned, restoring the demoed areas in the Hyannisport part of the site with native vegetation after those structures are decommissioned. Also, we've designed in electrification and energy efficiency to meet the greenhouse gas policy with efficient building envelopes, electrified space heating and cooling, high efficiency equipment and lighting, and a solar array on the large building. So that really just brings me to the schedule and next steps. As Alex mentioned at the beginning, the public comment period ends October 11th. And then following that, we'll be working on final design and permit approvals. And then the intent is to bid in the spring and award a contract sometime in probably late summer 2025 and start the construction after that. So if there's any other questions, be happy to talk through them. Oh, last slide would be how people can get more information if they wish.
Great. Thank you. I only have one other question, really, and just to confirm the energy efficiency aspect that you just discussed. So is there any gas powered treatment processes or heating and cooling, of conditioned spaces?
No, the design has been modified to be electric heating and cooling.
Mm-hmm. How about the emergency generators? Are they natural gas?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, okay. And
the answer to that is yes, yeah.
Okay, good. I guess I do have another question. Do you know the area of tree clearing? Is that maybe part of that 4 acres, or?
I We'll have to look that up.
Okay.
I can certainly send that to you.
Yeah, that'd be
I don't
helpful.
have it at my fingertips though.
Okay. All right, and I did chat briefly with DEP, and I think the ENF refers to this as well. So this has been done, a similar, I guess, treatment for winterization, I think, and also the dioxane treatment at other parts of the water system. Is that right?
Yeah, was a pretty similar project. The MAR system was a very similar set of upgrades that's been done most recently.
And that's in operation. It's operating now. Or
Yep.
is it still under construction?
No, I think it came online, was it 2019, Hans?
Oh, okay.
MAR?
We are operating that plant about close to 3 years now.
Yeah, similar situation where, kind of improvements had to be done in phases. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. I don't really have any other questions. This was really helpful, though, to see it and have you walk through. Let me understand sort of layout of the site. So, thanks, and I'll be in touch, over the next week or two as we start writing the certificate.
Okay.
If I have any other follow-up questions, and I guess as I receive comments, I'll forward them along to you, and you can take a look. I may ask you to respond to some issues that were raised, or if not, you can just take a look at them. If you feel that it would be helpful, you could respond to anything you want,
Okay.
or to me, in other words. But it doesn't sound like there'll be too many comment letters. I guess I already heard from CZM that they won't be submitting a comment letter, which I'm not too surprised about. I do expect one from DEP, but as you say, I mean, I think they relatively recently approved very similar projects, so they may not have too many issues to raise in their comments.
Mhm.
So we'll see though. And I guess the other question is whether the abutters have expressed any, or the nearest residents, I guess, have expressed any concerns about any impacts.
We had a couple of folks on the meeting in August, I believe, that were either direct abutters or near abutters, and they, I think they appreciated the information and were interested, but I didn't hear a lot of like grave concerns. I don't know, Matt, if you've heard anything since, but we did
No.
put a lot of screening in between the building, vegetation screening in between the nearest abutters and the new building.
Yeah, the only other correspondence I really heard from any residents was one resident off of Homeport Drive who was expressing some concerns, kind of unrelated to the project, just more or less access roads and trespassers on those recently. But that was independent of what we're planning on doing here with the water treatment project. So overall, I mean, the other comments were voiced on the video recording that we have hosted on our webpage, and we'll be also hosting this recording and Kirsten's slides on the webpage as well following this meeting.
Great. So how close is the nearest residence, I guess, to any proposed structure, either a well or the treatment plant? Roughly, I guess. Okay, I can measure it myself, but
it's-
so you might know.
I mean, I can. Show,
That's
I don't
fine.
know off the top of my head. It looks to
Okay.
me like it's maybe. I mean, the closest is like to the stormwater basin. Near. Hold on. Share again. So this is a stormwater infiltration basin here. That's be the closest to this building. It looks like about 100 feet to me, to my eye. Not without measuring, just looking at the scale over here.
Okay.
And then, you know, this building here, this is like driveway here, maybe about the same.
And where, like,
This building's
with
longer.
the vegetative screening, where will that
Yeah,
be?
I
Oh,
can
yeah,
see here.
okay.
Yeah, see the
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so this is already cleared. Existing, there's already a road here. This is already cleared. This is all existing. It's really this building. I mean, well, I shouldn't say that. This basin here will require some tree clearing. Let's see. This shows it a little bit better. There's the existing fence line. See that? And so some of this needs to be cleared for that basin. But it's not like it will be a building right there.
Right.
So this kind of shows you the clearing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Well, thanks again. I'll be in touch with any other questions. Thanks everyone for attending tonight.